name's Nicole, and thank you so much for joining me for another yoga flow. Today's yoga flow, we are focusing on the abdomen, so the abs in the front. We also have abs in the back, if you were unaware. So we're focusing on this area of the body. We're going to focus on strengthening and stretching it. If you are looking for a intention to resonate maybe to other parts of the body, like the mental, intellectual, or spiritual aspect of the body, you can also take note that this is focusing the solar plexus area. So a lot of fire is built here, self-confidence is built here. So if you were drawn to this flow, but not for the reason of abs, maybe it's because you're looking for some fire in the solar plexus and needing a little bit of self-confidence. In the theme of self-confidence, I'll ask that you think of one thing that you do really, really, really well and channel that feeling, how it feels to do that thing as you move through today's practice. And I will prompt you to think of it constantly. So without further ado, we're gonna get started. 15 to 20 minutes max. Say that I feel like a lot, but I mean it. That was my hip. I mean it. Keep me accountable. We're gonna start in our tabletop position. So shoulders over elbows over wrist, hips over knees. Pressing away from the mat, tops of the feet are pressed into the mat. Looking straight down, not crunching the neck. We are going to start with some cat-cow. So dropping the belly, lifting the gaze, big breath in. Exhale, round, contract through the spine. Good. 4 more, just like that. And feel free to add any organic movement to this first posture. So if you feel like taking some hip circles, you can go ahead and do that at this time. 2 more. And also, if you would like to take a little bit of stress off the wrists, then you are more than welcome to use some blocks. Last one. Good. Round and contract. Come back to tabletop and let's meet in a wild child's pose. So bringing the knees to the width of the mat, big toes touch. On the exhale, sending the hips straight back, walking the hands towards the top of the mat if you are able. If not, stacking one forearm on top of the other or placing a block under the head. Resting the head on the mat, hold here, 3 deep breaths. Reaching those fingers forward, nice stretch through the shoulders. Melting the chest down towards the mat. Remember, reminding ourselves of that one thing we're good at, and how it feels to be doing that thing. Does it make us happy, fulfilled? Do we feel confident? Hold that in the forefront of your mind as you flow through these poses, and when you're ready, press up through the fingertips, inhale, round through the back. Bring the feet directly behind you as you melt the pelvis down towards the mat. Coming into a cobra, 3 deep breaths. Really stretching through the abs again. If there's any organic movement that you'd like to take, maybe twisting a little bit from side to side, feel free to do that at this time. You can also take a little bit of a bend here in the elbows if this extension is a little bit too much. 1 more breath. Good, we're going to exhale, come down to the mat, tuck the toes, and lift the hips. That was my fault. Coming into our downward facing dog. So we're gonna hold here for 3 deep breaths. Feel free to walk the dog, stretching the legs out as you inhale and exhale, raising and lowering each heel, pressing the hands firmly into the mat, gripping slightly with the fingertips. Chest is being pulled down towards the mat as you're glancing with the eyes down towards the toes. Hips are straight up in the air as if someone's pulling you by a string. 1 more breath there. Very good. Coming into a neutral tabletop, or I'm sorry, downward facing dog. If the heels don't touch the ground, don't worry about it. That's okay. Take a nice deep inhale here. Exhale as you begin to rock your body forward slightly, lowering the knees down to the mat, and just when you're right above, coming into a hover, hold here. Engage the abs as if someone is going to just tap you on the belly, just that tightening, that feeling. Holding for 3, 2, and 1, step it back to plank. Holding that same feeling, pressing into the heels. Trying to keep the spine nice and in line, not letting the belly sink. Holding for 3, 2, and 1. Exhale as you bend into the elbows and roll over onto your back. If you have a clip in your hair, like I do, I would recommend either taking it out or just bringing it up slightly higher so you're able to rest your head on your mat. From here, we're keeping our feet directly on the mat and our backs are on the mat as well. We're going to take a quick little stretch before we jump into the sequence. So keeping the palms of the hands on the mat, fingers splayed nice and wide, feet are hip width distance apart. You're going to take a nice deep inhale as you, again, imagine someone's pulling you up by a string starting from your pelvis, lifting up, tucking the shoulders slightly, coming into bridge pose. You're going to hold here for about 5 deep breaths. And I want you to keep in mind your knees. Try not to let them kind of splail open. Actively think to keep the knees in line with the hips, okay? Just 4 more deep breaths. Inhaling to raise the diaphragm. Notice my stomach getting bigger and expanding, and exhaling to release that air. 2 more, just like that. 1 more breath. Except here, when we exhale, we lower that down to the mat. Very well done. Keeping the hands exactly where they are, you're going to, at next exhale, kick your feet off the mat and bring them into a right angle. So the feet are directly in line with the knees and the knees are directly in line with the hips. We're going to take some toe taps. So on the inhale, you tap. Exhale to come back to center. Switch sides. Inhale, tap. Exhale back to center. Okay, good. Keep this movement nice and steady. We're working the lower part of the abdomen here. Channeling that thought of what it is that we are good at as we just continue these toe taps. Good, keep breathing. Good, you got 1 more on each side, round it out. And back to center, good. Feel free to bring the feet down to the mat just for a moment. For this next one, we're going to take it into a bit of a crunch with a variation, totally up to you. So we're going to take the left leg, we're going to extend it down all the way to the bottom of the mat, and we're going to invite this right knee into the chest, linking our hands together with our fingers, squeezing it into center. I think you know where we're going with this. Some bicycle crunches almost. It's a variation. It's a knee to chest crunch. So, inhaling to extend, exhale to switch sides. Okay? Good. Good, we're doing this nice and slow and controlled. If you want to add a little bit of a challenge here, we're not, with this right leg, by the way, once we switch, is not coming down to the ground, it is hovering right above the ground. If you want to add a challenge, inhale to lift the head. We're not crunching the head, we're still glancing upwards towards the ceiling. Good, just a couple more rounds, keep breathing. Good, keep going. And good. Bring the knees into the chest, wrap the hands around, turn into a little ball here, and rock back and forth, taking a bit of a pause. We have 1 more little flow in this part of the peak of this flow for today. So to do that, we're going to bring our feet all the way, our legs all the way onto the mat. So I'm going to scoot back a little bit so you can see. Legs are all the way down towards the bottom of the mat. I'm going to take my hands, I'm going to lift my sit bone and place my hands directly under them. Legs are still together towards the bottom of the mat. We're going to take a nice deep inhale. Exhale to lift, both legs together. Inhale to lower, not all the way, but hover. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Good, keep going. Keep breathing. it's a little bit difficult for you with the extended legs, you can always bend the legs and take it that way as well. You'll get just as good of a workout there. Nice and slow with control, we're not rushing here. Good, 2 more. On the last one, lower, 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 hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower the legs to the mat. Release the hands from underneath sit bones. Take the hands, raise them all the way up overhead, and take a stretch all the way from your fingertips down to your toes. Nice long stretch here. Very good. You're gonna bring the legs, the arms, out to either side, like so. If you have room to make a full T, arms splayed out, parallel across each other, or perfectly in line with each other, that's great. If not, you can take a little bit of a bend in the elbows. You're gonna bring the feet back onto the mat, lift up, and on the next, that was a sneeze. On the next inhale, we're going to bring the knees to the right side as we turn our chest or our head to the left. 5 deep breaths. And inhale, bring it back to center. I'm sorry, exhale, bring it back to center. Inhale, switch sides. Looking now to the right side with knees to the left. Keeping in mind how it feels to be our most confident, unapologetic self. How that makes us feel within our body and mind. How that makes us feel spiritually. As we rest in the practice that we've just taken part in for ourselves and only ourselves. Good. Exhale, bring it back to center. Hands will once again wrap around both knees. Feel free to rock back and forth here. Very good. One more final little squeeze. Bringing them in. Very good. Then using the hands, placing them on the knees, we're going to take a nice deep inhale, press them away. Exhale, bring the knees back in. Good. Inhale to press. Exhale to reel it in. Good. Just a couple more. And feel free to, if you'd like, instead of just this back and forth motion, feel free to make a circle with the hips. You can bring them apart and then together, or you can keep them together as you kind of make these circles. Whatever feels good. This is more of an organic movement here. Whatever you're doing, try to reverse it. When you're ready, you can extend each leg down to the bottom of the mat. Hands rest at your sides, palms facing the ceiling, open to receiving. And gently doing a quick body scan throughout the body, making sure we're not willingly holding on to any tension as we begin to enter the Shavasana. Starting with the eyes, inviting them to gently blink closed. Down to the jaw, making sure it is not gripped and tightened. Down to the body, the abs, the hands, and the feet and toes. For the Shavasana, you can also bring one foot to each side of the mat and let the knees fall into each other if you'd like a little bit more low back support. Or you can also choose to take the seating up if that is more comfortable for you. With our eyes closed, I'll gently invite you to bring your hands to your solar plexus, to around your gut and your abdomen, feeling the fire that we've created today, the work that we've done physically, but also mentally, intellectually, and spiritually, by reminding ourselves of when we feel our most powerful. For the remainder of the Shavasana, I'll ask that you invite yourself to ponder how you can bring in more of that feeling. What is it that you would like to do that would help you feel more like this all the time, or more often? I'll invite you and leave you to ponder that for just a couple moments before I wake you to finish class. And gently beginning to invite the body back to consciousness by wiggling fingers and toes. I'll invite you when you're ready to take a big stretch up overhand, or hands up overhead, just like we did prior, flexing all the way from the top of the body to the toes. When you're ready to adjust to the light, blinking the eyes open, rolling over to one side if you are not seated already, and meeting me in any seated posture that is comfortable. We will end today's practice by inhaling, bringing hands up all the way overhead, and as our palms come to touch, imagine holding everything that we've created for ourselves or realized for ourselves in our hands. As we exhale, lowering all that down to heart center, we invite it to never leave as we bow forward, finishing today's class. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me. It was a pleasure to flow with you today, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye.